Stop everything you are doing. Stop scrolling. Stop whatever is on your mind. Because what I am about to tell you in this video is something that will redefine how you see courage, leadership, and power in the 21st century. The world is at war. The United States and Israel launched a massive military operation against Iran on February 28, 2026. The supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed. Hundreds of civilians are dead. Cities are burning. Missiles are flying across the Middle East. Iran is retaliating against American military bases across the Gulf. The Strait of Hormuz is blocked. Oil prices are skyrocketing. The entire global order is shaking. And in the middle of this chaos, every single world leader had a choice to make. Stand with Iran, stand with America, or stay silent. What happened next will shock you, because the most powerful nations on Earth, the ones with the biggest armies, the biggest economies, the loudest voices, they all chose silence. They chose fear. They chose self-preservation, all except one man. A 37-year-old captain from a small West African country that most people cannot even find on a map. A man who earns the salary of a military captain, not a president. A man who has survived 5 assassination attempts in 3 years. A man whose entire existence is a rebellion against the world order that just bombed Iran. Captain Ibrahim Traoré. If you are watching this video right now, I need you to do something for me. Hit that like button. Not tomorrow, not later, right now. Because this video is going to carry a message that no mainstream media outlet on this planet will ever broadcast. And the only way this message reaches millions of people is if you press that button. And I need to tell you something else. At the end of this video, I will reveal something about Traoré and about this war that will completely change your understanding of global politics. If you love Traoré, if you respect what this man stands for, do not leave this video. Stay until the very last second. I promise you, it will be worth every minute. Let me take you through exactly what happened, day by day, leader by leader, so you can see for yourself who has courage and who does not. February 28, 2026. The bombs start falling on Iran. American B-1 bombers, F-35 fighter jets, Israeli Air Force jets, a coordinated attack unlike anything the Middle East has seen in decades. The target was not just military infrastructure. The target was the leadership itself. Within hours, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader who had ruled Iran for over 3 decades, was confirmed dead. His wife was killed. Senior military commanders were killed. The headquarters of Iran's Supreme National Security Council was destroyed. The world held its breath. And then the responses started coming in. Russia, the country that signed a comprehensive strategic partnership treaty with Iran in January 2025. The country that conducted joint naval drills with Iran just 1 week before the attacks. The country that was supposed to be Iran's most powerful ally. What did Russia do? Russia issued a statement, a piece of paper. They called the attack a pre-planned and unprovoked act of armed aggression. Beautiful words, strong language, and absolutely nothing behind it. No military support, no weapons shipments, no threat of retaliation, nothing. Just words on a screen. Let me put this in perspective. This is the same Russia that has a mutual defense treaty with North Korea that obligates military support. But with Iran, the treaty only calls for consultation and non-aggression. Russia designed the relationship so that it would never have to actually fight for Iran. And when the moment of truth arrived, Russia did exactly what the treaty allowed. It talked, and then it went back to its own war in Ukraine. This is the 3rd time in 15 months that a Russian ally has fallen while Moscow watched. First, Assad in Syria was overthrown in 2024. Russia could only offer him asylum. Then Maduro in Venezuela was captured by American forces in January 2026. Russia could only condemn. And now, Iran. The supreme leader killed. And Russia can only issue statements. So let me ask you a question. What is the point of being allied with Russia if Russia never shows up when you need it? Now let us talk about China. China is Iran's biggest economic partner. China purchased more than 80% of Iran's shipped oil in 2025. China signed a 25-year cooperation agreement with Iran in 2021. China has deep economic interests in the Middle East. What did China do? China's foreign ministry spokesperson said that Iran's sovereignty should be respected. China called for an immediate stop to military actions. China said dialogue and negotiation should be pursued. China condemned the killing of Khamenei as a violation of the UN Charter. Beautiful words, responsible language, and, just like Russia, absolutely zero action behind it. No military support, no weapons, no threat of consequences. When journalists directly asked China's spokesperson whether China and Russia were considering providing military support to Iran, the spokesperson said, "I have no more information to add. No more information to add. Iran is being bombed. Its leader is dead, and China has no more information to add." This is the reality of the so-called multipolar world order. When the bombs start falling, the new poles of power collapse into the same position. Strongly worded statements and zero action. Now, let us talk about North Korea. On March 1st, Pyongyang issued a foreign ministry statement condemning the attacks as an illegal act of aggression. They called it the most despicable form of violation of sovereignty. Strong language, stronger than what they said about Venezuela. And on March 5th, Kim Jong-un personally oversaw cruise missile tests from a brand new naval destroyer. The timing was clearly a message. Some media outlets have reported that North Korea offered to supply missiles to Iran if Tehran requested it. Social media exploded with this claim. But here is what the fact-checkers found. There is no verified, on-the-record declaration from Kim Jong-un personally promising to send missiles. The viral claims appear to be based on interpretation of broader North Korean rhetoric, not a direct quote. So even North Korea, the country that the entire world considers the most unpredictable and aggressive, even North Korea stopped short of offering concrete military assistance to Iran. Now let me tell you about some other responses. Pakistan condemned the attacks, but also condemned Iran's retaliatory strikes against neighboring countries. Massive pro-Iranian protests erupted in Pakistan's northern cities. The Pakistani army was deployed to suppress the violence. But the Pakistani government itself? Sitting on the fence, trying not to anger anyone. Spain did something interesting. Spain refused to allow the United States to use its military bases for operations against Iran. The Spanish Prime Minister condemned the American military operation. And what did Trump do? Trump threatened to cut all trade relations with Spain. That is what happens when you say no to America. Even a NATO ally gets threatened with economic destruction. Brazil, Chile, Norway, Malaysia, Kazakhstan, they all opposed the attacks. But opposition meant statements, condemnations, UN speeches, nothing more. The United Nations Security Council met in emergency session on February 28th. And what happened? Nothing. No resolution, no vote, just speeches. Because the United States has a veto. And the United States will never allow the Security Council to condemn its own war. So here is the picture. Iran is being destroyed. Its leader is dead. Its military infrastructure is being dismantled. And the response from the so-called international community is words, statements, condemnations, press conferences, social media posts. Not a single major power offered military assistance. Not Russia, not China, not any nuclear-armed nation, not any member of the United Nations Security Council, not a single one, except Captain Ibrahim Traoré. On March 2nd, while the world was still writing its carefully worded statements, while diplomats were still choosing their adjectives, while intelligence agencies were still assessing the situation, Traoré stepped in front of a microphone and said what nobody else on this planet had the courage to say. Burkina Faso is ready to provide military assistance if Iran requests it. Let that sentence sit in your mind for a moment. Not economic assistance, not humanitarian aid, not a UN resolution. military assistance, soldiers, weapons, action. And then he said the sentence that will be remembered for generations. The days of Americans escaping punishment are over. Do you understand the weight of these words? A 37-year-old leader of a country with 23 million people, a country ranked 127th in global military power, a country fighting its own war against terrorist groups. That man looked at the most powerful military machine in human history and said, "Your days of impunity are over." Russia could not say it. China would not say it. North Korea hinted at it but never committed. Pakistan tried to play both sides. Spain said no to the bases but stopped there. Traoré said, "We will send soldiers." Now, some people will say this is symbolic. Some analysts have already pointed out that Burkina Faso has approximately 12,000 active soldiers, and that the country is already fighting an insurgency. Some Western media outlets have mocked the offer. One headline read, "Burkina Faso's army vows to save Iran because 12,000 troops will surely stop the US." Let me address this directly. Because this criticism reveals everything that is wrong with how the West sees Africa and how the West sees courage. The power of Traoré's statement is not measured in troop numbers. It is measured in what it represents. When a small nation stands up and says what superpowers are afraid to say, that is not weakness. That is the most powerful form of leadership on Earth. When Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on that bus, she did not have an army. When Mandela spoke from his prison cell, he did not have nuclear weapons. When Sankara stood before the United Nations and challenged the entire global financial system, he did not have aircraft carriers. Courage is not about resources. Courage is about conviction. And Traoré has more conviction in his little finger than entire governments have in their foreign ministries. But let me tell you something that the mockery misses entirely. Burkina Faso may have 12,000 regular soldiers, but it also has the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland. This is a civilian militia force with an estimated 30,000 to 100,000 members. Traoré has been building this force since he came to power. He has been equipping his military with Chinese armored vehicles, SR-5 multiple rocket launchers, SH-1 self-propelled howitzers, and Turkish Bayraktar Akinci drones, one of the most advanced combat drones in the world. He has been modernizing, training, and expanding his military capability every single month. Is Burkina Faso going to defeat the United States in a conventional war? Of course not. But that is not the point. The point is that Traoré is building something that no other African leader has built in decades. A military that answers to its own people, equipped by its own allies, fighting for its own sovereignty. And when that military's leader says he is willing to send soldiers to support Iran, the message reverberates across the entire global South. Because the message is not just about Iran. The message is, the era of unchallenged American military dominance is ending. Not because of one country, but because leaders like Traoré are showing the world that resistance is possible, that defiance is an option, that you do not have to accept the bombs, the sanctions, the regime changes, and the destruction just because Washington decided it is your turn. Now let me tell you why Traoré is different from every other leader who spoke about this war. And this is what I promised you at the beginning of this video. This is the part you cannot miss. Traoré did not just make a statement about Iran. Traoré has been preparing for this moment for 3 years. Every single decision he has made since September 2022 has been building toward a world where Africa does not bow to Western power. He kicked out French military bases. He nationalized gold mines and created Sopamib, a state-owned mining company. He achieved food self-sufficiency for Burkina Faso in 2025. He produced 94 tons of gold, making Burkina Faso Africa's 4th largest gold producer. He flipped the country's economy from deficit to surplus. He forced the IMF to disperse $33 million and approve a new $124 million facility. He built the alliance of Sahel states with Mali and Niger. He launched a $895 million investment bank, the BCID AES. He is preparing a new currency backed by gold to replace the CFA franc. He dissolved all political parties. He survived 5 assassination attempts. He was named Person of the Year by Shifter magazine. He was called arguably Africa's most popular president by the Institute for Security Studies. A movie was made about him in Ghana called The Last African Hero. And now, while the entire world cowers before American military power, he is the one leader who stands up and says, "If Iran needs us, we are ready." Do you see the pattern? This is not a random statement from an impulsive leader. This is the logical conclusion of a 3-year revolution. A leader who has already broken free from French financial control is not afraid of American military threats. A leader who has already kicked out foreign troops is not intimidated by Pentagon press conferences. A leader who has already survived 5 attempts on his life does not fear Washington's displeasure. Traoré is free, mentally free, politically free, economically free, and that freedom allows him to say what no other leader can say. Now compare that to Traoré's critics. The West calls him a dictator. They call him authoritarian. They call him a threat to democracy. But let me ask you this. Which is more authoritarian? A leader who cuts his own ministers' salaries by 30% and raises civil servant wages by 50%? Or a system that bombs a country, kills its leader, and calls it bringing freedom? Which is more undemocratic? Dissolving political parties that were used as tools of foreign manipulation, or overthrowing governments through coups, assassinations, and economic sanctions every time a country tries to be independent? The West does not hate Traoré because he is undemocratic. The West hates Traoré because he is free. And free African leaders are the most dangerous thing in the world for a system built on African exploitation. Let me close with this. The Iran war has exposed the truth about global politics in 2026. It has shown us that treaties mean nothing when the bombs start falling, that alliances are only as strong as the interests behind them, that the United Nations is powerless, that Russia and China will protect their own interests before they protect their partners, that the so-called multipolar world is still a world where America does what it wants and everyone else writes press releases. But it has also shown us something beautiful, something hopeful, something that should make every African, every person in the global South, every human being who believes in justice, hold their head a little higher today. It has shown us that there is one leader on this earth who is not afraid, one leader who does not calculate, one leader who looks at the most powerful empire in human history and says, "Your days of impunity are over." His name is Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He is 37 years old. He leads a nation of 23 million people, and he has more courage than every leader in the G7, the G20, the Security Council, and NATO combined. Now here is what I need from you. I need you to go to the comments right now and answer this question. After everything you have seen this week, after watching superpowers hide behind statements while Traoré stood alone, who do you think is the bravest leader in the world right now? Write it in the comments. I want to read every single answer. And I need you to share this video. Not because I am asking you to, but because the people in your life deserve to know this story. Your friends deserve to hear this. Your family deserves to understand what is happening, because CNN will not tell them. BBC will not tell them. France 24 will not tell them. Al Jazeera will give you the war coverage, but they will not give you the Traoré story. We are the media now. Traoré Command is the voice that the system wants silenced. And every time you share this video, every time you press that like button, every time you subscribe and turn on that notification bell, you are telling the system that you will not be silenced either. The revolution is not televised, but it is right here, on Traoré Command. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, remember that name. Because one day, your grandchildren will ask you, who stood up when the whole world was afraid? And you will tell them, there was a young captain from Burkina Faso. And he was not afraid. Let me tell you one more thing before I go, because I think it is important. There is a pattern in history. Every time an African leader challenges Western power, the world is told that he is crazy, that he is reckless, that he will bring ruin to his people. They said it about Patrice Lumumba in Congo before the CIA helped murder him. They said it about Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana before he was overthrown. They said it about Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso before he was assassinated at 37. They said it about Muammar Gaddafi in Libya before NATO destroyed his country. And now they are saying it about Traoré. He is reckless, they say. He is dangerous, they say. He is destabilizing the region, they say. But look at the results. Burkina Faso has food self-sufficiency. Burkina Faso has a current account surplus. Burkina Faso has 94 tons of gold production. Burkina Faso has a new investment bank with nearly $1 billion in capital. Burkina Faso has a growing military equipped with modern weapons. Burkina Faso has allies across the global south. And most importantly, Burkina Faso has something that no amount of money can buy: dignity. The dignity of a nation that stands on its own feet. The dignity of a people who are no longer anyone's colony. The dignity of a leader who speaks truth when the entire world is lying. That is what Traoré represents. Not just for Burkina Faso, not just for the Sahel, not just for Africa, but for every nation, every community, every human being that has ever been told to sit down, shut up, and accept the world as the powerful have designed it. Traoré is standing up. And by standing up, he is giving permission to millions of others to stand up too. This is why they want him gone. This is why there have been 5 assassination attempts. This is why Western media writes article after article attacking him. Because a free Africa is the end of a system that has profited from African subjugation for 500 years. But Traoré is still here, still leading, still building, still speaking, and now still standing with Iran when no one else will. The next time someone tells you that one person cannot change the world, show them this video. Show them Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Show them what happens when courage meets conviction. And then ask them, what are you doing with your freedom? Subscribe to Traoré Command. Share this video with every person you know. Turn on the bell. Because this story is not over. It is just beginning. And you are part of it now. From Traoré Command, with love and defiance. Until next time.